a six pack, sit back and prepare to laugh. It's Drunk Dash Nerds podcast. Grab a six pack, sit back and prepare to laugh. It's Drunk Dash Nerds podcast. Grab a six pack, sit back and prepare to laugh. It's Drunk Dash Nerds podcast. Grab a six pack, sit back and prepare to laugh. It's Drunk Dash Nerds podcast. Sit back and get back and get back and get grab a six pack, sit back and get back and get back and get grab a six pack, sit back and get back and get back and get grab a six pack, sit back and get back and get back and get grab a six pack.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 196 of the Drunk Dash Nerds podcast. I'm your host, as always. I am Tyler. And joining me, we have the Colonel himself, the 46th President of the United States, Gables. What's up, buddy?
That's kind of a loaded question right at the moment.
Uh-oh.
This week has been sort of a roller coaster ride, to say the least. And, well, let's just say that ever since Thursday, which we all know led up to the whole launch day for the Nintendo Switch, I have been feeling, well, let's just say I've been feeling a little bit of fire in my belly. So here's the deal. I felt that by going to the Nintendo Switch launch in my local Walmart, that I was going to go walk in and essentially, wait there for probably an hour or so until the launch day would go, and probably pick up a Nintendo Switch. I called twice to the same retailer, and each time it's like, oh, hey, go ahead and call back on Wednesday and stuff like that and see if they're doing a midnight launch. So I paid attention. I did the same thing as I called and stuff on Wednesday, and I think, yeah, we're going to have a midnight launch and stuff. So here's the deal. I got my ride and stuff basically to take me out to Walmart at around 11 o'clock or so at night. I had work around 4 something in the morning. Ooh. So I had to sleep a few more hours and stuff before waking up around the designated time. And so I went ahead and did that. Go all the way to the store, and I see, there's only 2 people inside the line waiting inside this counter, which is oh, okay, it's going to be a relatively slow type of deal, It's not going to be, crowded, this and that. I mean, there were some people looking around electronics around the night. It's okay, that doesn't seem so bad. It's I get in back of them because there was nobody there, and it's okay, I'll wait here for an hour, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. Around 10, 12 minutes later, we have this electronics associate. Now, this guy is supposed to be, knowledgeable inside games and stuff, and he does know some bits and stuff, but he asks myself and a gentleman behind me, it's do you guys have pre-orders? It's wait, pre-orders? No, I don't have a pre-orders. I mean, here's the thing. With our Walmart inside my local town and stuff, they don't generally do pre-orders for game launches, let alone consoles. I mean, for other Walmart stores, yeah, that is a thing, though. But never once did I hear anything about pre-order stuff. Even when I went inside the store, inside their electronics department, the couple days before the Switch's launch. And so basically it's oh yeah, everyone else was waiting here for a long while and stuff like that. So I just went ahead and I just, gave them a bunch of the pre-order stuff right there, basically in a nutshell, they started lining up, I think I was around, I would want to say about an hour or something before the whole launch thing is supposed to thing. So it's they got there roughly around 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, right? And so the electronics associate who saw them all gathering and said, okay, I'm going to give them their names and the numbers of their bathroom breaks and stuff like that. And he basically sold every single one of what consoles they had in stock before, the whole launch date. So I could not even go and pick up a console at all because all the pre-order stuff, then that's the thing. They were supposed to have consoles pick upable without the pre-order stuff. I've heard that from other Walmart retailers too, that they were supposed to have enough supplies in order to try to give it for people offhand that did not have pre-orders. And basically this guy supersedes And anybody waiting in line, he basically got their name down and stuff like that and had them go through the whole pre-order stuff right then and there. And and like as you expect, I was angry. I didn't verbally lash out or anything. I didn't like make a scene or something like that. But a guy behind me that was waiting, it's like, hey, just had the same thing that I did. It's like, hey, I called up and stuff like that, and I had never heard once about this pre-order stuff. And I looked at the guy in back of me. He's like, yeah, I didn't get any type of pre-order stuff either. And so both of us just walking out of the store, like kind of like perturbed and stuff, because here we are like around 11 o'clock at night at a Walmart with this fucking place, which is like notoriously known to having like a lot of fucking crazy ass people there at night. And basically, I go out to my ride and stuff. We go home and stuff. It's like the people I was riding with, my parents and stuff, they are very angry too because of that whole situation. My mom told me while they were waiting out in the car, they were seeing people actually going out of the store with actual Switch items inside their bags before the actual release date, before the midnight launch. And so what I ended up doing is I posted a couple of comments on Facebook and stuff like that, basically just roasting my Walmart pretty much for the whole experience that happened to me on Thursday night. And then I go on to Craigslist tonight, earlier on tonight, because I thought, oh, okay, maybe somebody was going to sell some of these consoles or something like that on Craigslist locally. Oh, yeah, I say they did. I saw 2 listings inside my local area. One of them was for like $425 and stuff, right? So it's like, okay, it's like $125 more that you would get and stuff like that. Then there was another option. This thing really pissed me off right here. They wanted $750, right, for the console, a Pro controller, and a vanilla edition of Breath of the Wild. All of that, they would have gotten like a profit of at least a few hundred, if not, more, because I added to the math right there. It's like $300 for the console, $70 for the controller. That's $370 right there, plus $60. That's like $400. That's over $400 something right there in value. This son of a bitch wanted to try to profit like $300 or so dollars, and the only way those 2 people managed to get copies of that fucking console was at that same launch event inside my local Walmart, which in essence made me so irate that I went through. And I'm going to do this too. I'm going to contact these sellers, and I'm going to see what they're going to fucking do. It's just made me feel kind of really like angry in types of like, this always happens like during console launches in general, where there's always a scalper, there's always some weird ass story that comes out. But then having to experience it firsthand and stuff, some of the shady underdealings. Because here, the story gets deeper here. Inside that same line, the person that was waiting in front of me, I used to work with when I used to work at Walmart. She was a supervisor that was higher up and stuff like that. Her and her son were waiting right in front of that line and had already went through and waited, for like, I don't know, probably a couple hours or something like that. I don't know. That's the funny thing is I went to the same Walmart like around 4 o'clock. That same day. There was nobody there lining up. There was nobody there waiting. Nothing of the sort. We're small enough of a community where if there's a big console launch, people don't wait there for fucking hours. They wait there. They go at the absolute last moment. And that's what everybody was doing. As soon as I was leaving Walmart, there was like about 10 or 15 people trying to go inside the same store, trying to do the same thing that I did. Oh, I can buy a Nintendo Switch and do this and do that. But another type of aspect to this thing is like communicating with one of my friends who was also at this same Switch event. And she didn't see me, ironically enough, but I was there in front. And she was telling me about all sorts of these, like, there was basically people that were outside of Walmart trying to basically scalp people out of their Switches. They wanted to buy them up, probably promising like, oh, okay, I'm going to pay you this and stuff like that. Here's about $300 or $400 or something like that, in order to try to double down and sell them on Craigslist. So I just basically put 2 and 2 together. Oh, man, just the whole experience of doing that, then having to go to work that very next day and stuff. everything just felt really out of whack. That was probably one of the worst experiences I've ever been to, that I've ever experienced inside of an actual retail space. I mean, it's nothing unusual for people who have done it previously, like say for going and doing like PS4 stuff or like Xbox One stuff or any type of console launches. They're the same type of shit that happened when the Wii was going out, like around 10 or 11 years ago. But at least when I did those console launches, like for the Wii and the Wii U and stuff, there wasn't any bullshit of this extent. I managed to get those consoles day one, and all of a sudden, after the whole NES Classic fiasco, where I have not even seen anything for the past 3 months, I expect nothing more than the worst for this stupid Switch. But, yeah, it's been a hell of a week.
Well, that sucks, man.
I know.
Yeah. I've been there before trying to find things. I was with you where I had the same issue with the Wii, where I was actually like number 2 in line, like number 2 for pre-orders for the Wii, and Justin was actually number 1. And the store manager there at the time, we both worked there at the place. It was a gaming store. Actually bumped our names way down on the list miraculously, and then she took our pre-orders and yeah. Anyways, not to bitch about that. But also joining us, Troy. What's up, buddy?
What's the business? Yeah. Roller coaster rides.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the NES Classic, that was crazy. I ended up getting one on launch day, but I was number 6 in line at the local GameStop, and they had 6 consoles, so I was the last person to get one. I had my very own roller coaster rides this week. So Thursday, I got so my copy of Zelda and my Switch case and screen protector that I'd ordered from Best Buy showed up a day early, which was pretty dope. It was pretty cool. Then went through the rest of my day, and then in the evening time, I was walking home from campus and found out my motorcycle was missing. Somebody had stolen my motorcycle. So that was the downhill portion of my roller coaster ride. And then, so Friday morning, wake up, and my Switch pre-order was through Amazon. So I had already gotten shipping confirmation, because I know a lot of people online are having issues, like they pre-ordered through Amazon and they still have not seen their consoles, which really sucks. But yeah, no, mine was shipped earlier, so I knew it was on its way. So yeah, I mean, I got my Switch, and also, so during the day, like I saw tweets from Wario64 on Twitter. It was basically a retweet of a post on Reddit where somebody had the exact same Switch case that I ordered, which was the Insignia brand Switch case. So I went back and forth on whether or not to order the special edition of Zelda. One, because I need a case for the damn Switch. I mean, I'm leaving for PAX in 4 days from now. So I need something to carry the Switch in. And so I almost ordered the special edition of Zelda just to get the case, except I'm not a big fan of the case that comes in that special edition. It's a little too loud for me. I generally like things to be a little more low-key. So I like the official Nintendo case. I think it's really nice and tasteful. There's not I think it's got like an embossing of the Switch logo on one side and the Nintendo logo on the other, but it's just black. Pretty decent. But when the time came to order it, Best Buy was out of stock and Amazon were out of stock of the pre-orders for the official Nintendo case. So I picked this Insignia case because it looked pretty close to the Nintendo one. It's just a zip-up case. It seemed to have a little bit of almost like a protection on the outside, almost like an armor sort of situation. So come Friday, somebody tweeted out, somebody posted on Reddit that this Switch case like was ill-sized. So there's a picture of a Switch in there with the Joy-Cons on it, and there's still probably 4 inches on one side where like the Switch could basically move around inside of this case.
Oh no!
Because it's not fitted correctly to the case.
Oh no!
So I was like, well, shit. So I was returning mine to Best Buy. So it worked out pretty well, though, because I got up that morning, still had to wait on the Switch to come in from the UPS truck. So I got the oil changed on the car because my wife was going out of town. And the Switch arrived, and then I went out on my business. I needed to take the old oil to be recycled at the car parts place. I stopped by GameStop, one of the GameStops in town, and they actually had the official Nintendo case in stock, which worked out really well because the only other all online they all said only available in store or only not available in store for like Target and Best Buy and all that. You had to order them, and if I would have ordered it even on Friday, it wouldn't have gotten here in time for me to leave on Wednesday. So I was like, well, shit, like I was gonna contemplate sticking this thing in a tube sock or something to protect it in my bag. But yeah, so GameStop had one of those. I actually had a few of those cases in stock, so I ended up picking that one up, the official Nintendo case from GameStop, and returned the Insignia one back to Best Buy. So I got that one in that whole deal that I had talked about the other day on the last show, where like I got all that stuff for like $83 using my Gamers Club Unlocked plus the $25 off a $100 purchase Visa checkout deal. So on the receipt for that, it's kind of funny because it like breaks everything down, and it basically took that discount and distributed across all the products. So basically that way Best Buy knew how much money to give me back. That way I wasn't taking back this, $15 case and getting the whole $15 back, even though I had gotten a discount on the total order. So I only got like $11 back on the case, which was fine. I took that $11 and put it towards 1-2 Switch. So I ended up getting 1-2 Switch for like $26 out of pocket after the case. I mean, the case was money that I had already spent. But then also on that same receipt, I was noticing that I had the money that was attributed to the Zelda game was like $37. So I basically practically paid $37 for my copy of Zelda on the Switch. On top of that, my Switch practically only costed me $279 because I filled out a survey online for my PlayStation Visa card. And in doing so, they gave me a $20 Amazon gift card, which I immediately applied to my Switch. So that knocked my Switch down from $299 to $279. So combined for the Switch and the copy of Zelda costed me like $312.
Wow.
So I practically paid $12 for a brand new copy of Zelda on the Switch.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, I got the better end of that. I didn't get gouged on Craigslist. But yeah, I was really psyched about that. I was like, man, I really got a pretty good deal on this. It all worked out well for me, and that really sucks to brag about that after everything that Gables complained about. But I also had my motorcycle stolen, so I guess it all works out in the end.
It levels itself out quite nicely, actually. It's like, I'm not going to give you shit because your bike got stolen, man. That fucking sucks, man. That's even worse than what I went through, dude. So it's like, I wouldn't feel bad about
the scalping thing really sucks, though. It really does. I know a lot of people, have had that issue with the NES Classic Edition, and the Switch seems like it may be something similar, but it also seems like there's not quite as much rarity in the Switch right now. I mean, I've seen people tweet pictures of like their Targets with still like 3 or 4 consoles on the shelf. My little brother walked into Target in Roswell the day on Friday, probably around noon, and there was still like 2 of them left on the shelf. He picked one of them up.
Nice.
So I mean, it seems like they've done a lot better with the supply on the Switch, which would be really nice, because then what's going to happen, I mean, I guess the scalpers are going to find somebody who's not savvy enough to go look and understand that the supply is not as constrained as they would have you believe. But ideally, the supply would be as such that these people who went and bought 3 or 4 Switches in order to try and flip them for a huge profit end up just making back whatever money they spent, because there's not that big of a demand because there's still enough supply.
Yeah, that's just the thing, though. What's kind of funny is what's funny is it's like after I got off of work yesterday and stuff, my mom actually got through. It's like just telling me, "Yeah, I called Nintendo today." I was like, "What? What did you do?" And this is my 6-year-old mom, right? And she knew I was upset after going through the whole ordeal and stuff. Like, she was just telling me, "Yeah, I talked with Nintendo and stuff like that, and like basically." They said they were going to have like maybe 2 million launched by the end of like the month. Like, oh my god, oh my god. Well, basically, she was just she found out that they are going to be probably having like some other shipments close towards the end of the month, possibly, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, I advocated this with the classic, the NES Classic, and
Yeah.
it's kind of come back to haunt me because I told people, I was like, don't spend, $200 on eBay. Don't buy one of these because they will come into stock. You will be able to get it for $60. Just hold off.
Yeah.
And that hasn't actually come to fruition. But I am fairly confident that the Switch will come into stock. There won't be the constraints that there are with the NES Classic Edition. You will be able to get a Switch for retail price.
Yeah, and that plus the fact that it's coming out in March instead of like November or December, so you don't have that holiday push where everybody's trying to buy it for Christmas presents.
Mhm.
So I don't think there's as much stress or as people aren't as much of a hurry to buy one now as they would be if it came out in November.
And if you're super, super, like, can't wait, I hear the Wii U version of Zelda is actually pretty damn decent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely
I
on
heard
par with
yeah.
the Switch version.
certain parts of it are actually slightly better than the Switch version, as far as like the frame rate goes.
So
and
there's
everything.
that.
Yeah,
We all know you've got a Wii U.
I don't. I sold my Wii U, and I
Well, yeah, but you have a Switch.
yes, I do actually.
I'm trying to help Gables out here. He doesn't have a Switch.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Gables.
But yeah, so yeah, I mean, roller coaster rides for sure.
Yeah,
But it's good to be here. But good to be recording. Also, this is the first Drunk Dash Nerds podcast where I am actually consuming alcohol.
There
So
you go.
yay! I'm not the only one drinking anymore. I don't.
my wife went out of town for a. She's taking her anesthesia boards in Albuquerque, so she's out of town. It's just me and the dog here. So I made a couple drinks and sat around playing some Zelda, and now I'm here podcasting, still drinking on some drinks.
That's
Good
good.
times.
Is it a mixed drink or is it a beer drink? What are we drinking?
Oh yeah, no, I don't generally drink beer. So my first drink I used we have some ginger ale and some whipped cream vodka.
Ooh.
Which when you mix ginger ale and whipped cream vodka, it makes a concoction that tastes remarkably like cream soda. Like it's good as hell. So I did one of those. And then now I also have some, or I had some, because the last of it is in this drink right now. I mixed some lemonade with some limoncello from Italy, genuine from Italy. When my daughters came back to the States to visit for Christmas. Was it Christmas this year? No, it wasn't Christmas. It was over summer. When they came to visit, they brought back some goodies from Italy, and so I got some genuine Italian limoncello, which mixes really well with lemonade.
Is the drinking age in Italy like 10 or something?
No, well, I mean, my daughters didn't technically bring it back. Their mom brought it back, but yeah, she brought back a bunch of wine and stuff, and this limoncello, which is something that you can only technically, I guess, get in Italy, or it's only a product of Italy.
Cool.
It's pretty good stuff.
Well,
Like I said, it mixes really well with lemonade.
that's good. I'm glad I'm not the only one drinking. I don't feel like such an alcoholic anymore. But no, I don't really have like anything crazy going on this week as far as like nothing of mine's been stolen as far as I know. I did get a Switch. It is literally in my hand right now. In my hands right now. Don't really have any crazy story of getting it. I came home from work and it was on my front porch. Picked it up, brought it inside the house. I started it. It's booted up. I played like 45 minutes of Zelda. I shouldn't have. I should have just gone first because I don't really have anything to add on to this. Yeah, because there's no way I could top any of you guys' stories for the week as far as that goes. I got Employee of the Month for my company. That's pretty cool.
There you go.
There you
Yeah.
go. That's big.
That's big. I mean, not as big as not getting a Switch or motorcycle being stolen.
And then was it like the next day that you were complaining that you hate work?
yeah,
Ironically.
they might be listening.
Only because they were keeping you from being able to play your brand new Switch
Yes.
and your awesome
But
Zelda
a
game.
cool thing was actually a lot of shit's going on at work. I'm not going like the details, but it's crazy right now. And I requested the March 6th off, so Monday, like months ago. Or not like months ago, but like basically when they announced the date, like I went to work the next day and I filled out a time off request for March 6th. Because I figured there's no point in requesting March 3rd off because I'm just gonna be sitting around the house waiting for my Switch to show up. So, anyways, I requested that day off, and I requested a couple other days off in March, and a lot of shit's going on. So I sent an email off saying, canceled my PTO request off. I sent it to the lady that does all the PTO requests at work. And my boss, I told her, I tell her everything. I told her why I was taking the 6th off. I'm like, the Switch comes out. I explained what the Switch was in the first place. I'm like, but I don't have time to play video games right now. And I just want to go home. I want to stay home and I want to play the Switch. And she's actually, she had a few days I had requested off. She actually let me cancel the 2 of them. But she's like, Tyler, you deserve this. Take the day off. So she would not let me cancel Monday off of work. Even though we desperately I need to be there. She's like, Tyler, take the day off. So I have Monday off, so I'm going to be playing the fucking Switch all goddamn day Monday. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's kind of the story for me as far as my Switch. Oh, my dog is barking. I don't know why he's barking. You probably heard voices in his head. Anyways, yeah. So I have the Switch. It's here. I got my Zelda. I got my Pro controller. I guess we'll stick with the Switch. Normally we jump into what we've been playing. Let's talk a little more about the Switch. Our initial thoughts on it. I just want to say real quick that I have played like 45 minutes of Zelda. That's all I've done with this damn thing. I did buy snipper clips. I haven't played it yet, but just logging in and setting everything up, trying to set up my account and everything was a huge pain in the ass. With the left Joy-Con controller, I was no more than 3 feet away from my Switch, and I had the Switch docked, so I was on my TV, and then I slid the Joy-Con controllers into the grip thing, whatever, and I was trying to log in, and the left Joy-Con was every 10 seconds would lose connection, and then when it was working, there was like a 5-6 second delay every time I click a button. So after about 2 or 3 minutes of trying just to type in my email address, I said fuck it, and I set the Joy-Cons down, and I hooked up my Pro controller, and it immediately worked just fine. So that's.
Did you update the firmware on the
Yep,
console?
the firmware. It's the first thing I did on it. I updated everything first, and then I went and I tried to log in just so I can download. I went to the Nintendo eShop thing so I could download snipper clips because I had a code for it and everything. I ordered online. Yeah, so I did all that, and it was still just a huge pain in the ass. And like I said, maybe 3 feet away from my Switch.
Yeah. So I too have had issues with the left Joy-Con this evening. So yeah, I got my console yesterday, set it up, no problems. My wife and I played a little bit of 1-2 Switch last night before bed, no problems. Today, I kind of took my time getting into playing it actually, which is kind of funny because people are like, oh my god, I couldn't wait to play it. But I got up this morning and I watched Unprofessional Fridays from Giant Bomb because Drew Scanlon left Giant Bomb this week, so Unprofessional Fridays was kind of like a farewell to Drew Scanlon, so I had to watch that. So I got up this morning, watched that, watched some other videos, but then probably around 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon I got around to start playing Zelda, and didn't have any problems. I had the Switch is docked probably about 8 feet away from the couch. I mean, it's around a bunch of electronics just because my television's there. It's actually right next to the subwoofer for my sound bar. There's a lot of shit over there. It's kind of hard to, because I know Nintendo had put out some guidelines don't have it around all these electronic equipment, and don't have it near your aquarium and stuff like that.
Don't have it around any living organisms. Don't have that.
Yeah, so but I didn't have any issues in that first hour and a half, 2 hours. But then, time came, fed the dog, then went for a walk to go get some pizza for myself because I needed to eat as well. And the dog needed a walk. So we went to go walk to get some pizza. Came back and we weren't recording for another hour or so. So I made myself a drink, sat down and started playing for about 45 minutes or so. And I had repeated issues with the left Joy-Con. Just issues where it would either continue running in a direction which would be bad in certain situations because I was near the edge of a cliff, or coming up close on a what are they called? Bokoblins?
Yeah, I think that's
is that how you pronounce that?
close enough.
bokoblins. Anyway, I was coming up on one of their camps, and I'm like trying to sneak up on him, but now all of a sudden Link won't stop. He just keeps moving, or like he's standing still, and there's guys moving around, and they're about to see me, and I can't move because the left Joy-Con is completely unresponsive. The right Joy-Con works fine, but the left Joy-Con is completely unresponsive, and it's like, this is kind of ridiculous, because it's literally, I measured it out. It's only like 8 to 10 feet away from the Switch console. But I did have the surround sound on, so maybe there was some interference coming from because it's a wireless subwoofer, so maybe there was some interference there, but still, that's kind of disheartening and kind of crap.
Yeah.
And I don't have a Pro Controller, and I won't buy a Pro Controller just to fix this issue, because, like, in my opinion, spending $70 to fix something that was wrong with the console as it came is a big no-no in my book. Like, I mean, if it was an instance of, well, yeah, I just want to have a Pro Controller, that's a different story, but I'm not going to spend $70 to buy a controller to fix the controller that came with the console.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I bought one because just looking at the Joy-Cons when they first announced the Switch or showed it off in January, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to use that. But I'm happy I went ahead and decided to buy the Pro Controller, because it was, I was after about 5-6 minutes of trying to just type in my email, I was ready to fucking smash my Joy-Con controller, at least the left one, because that was frustrating.
Yeah, so after we recorded last week's show, and Gabe and I had the conversation about that left Joy-Con issue, Justin actually reached out to us and said, well, they're having issues with the right Joy-Con as well, which, from everything I've read, they do have intermittent issues, but everything that I've seen shows that left Joy-Con is the largest culprit. It loses signal way more often than the right Joy-Con does. Even though the right Joy-Con may drop signal on occasion, the left Joy-Con is far more prevalent. And in my experience, that is absolutely the case, because the right Joy-Con has worked flawlessly, because once the left Joy-Con stops working, I'll fiddle around with the right Joy-Con just to make sure that the game hadn't, wigged out, and it all works fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm anxious to see what Nintendo has to say about it, because Nintendo hasn't put out an official statement on this yet.
Oh, they did put out the thing where it's like, here's what you can do to prevent issues with it, but it's just, like you said, it's just an asinine amount of things you have to do.
Yeah, well, it's like, like, don't have it near electronics. Well, guess what? Where most people are going to have this is at least next to their television, if not, other consoles and, routers and God knows what else. Like, I mean, this is a part of your entertainment center. I'm not going to set it on my nightstand next to my bed and run a 9-foot HDMI cable to my television, like, that's just not going to happen.
Yeah, the only thing, it's basically just like, sit in a corner by yourself within handheld mode, and you shouldn't have any issues, hopefully.
Yeah, no, I mean, from what I understand, everything in handheld, and I actually haven't played it in handheld mode yet, but from what I understand, it works flawlessly in handheld mode.
Yeah.
Even the game itself, like, performs better in handheld mode than it does on the TV.
That's kind of interesting. I mean, I agree with you. That thing should work as intended if you're going to slide the Joy-Cons onto that freaking grip switch that they got there. But that's just really weird that Nintendo would just go off and say, oh, hey, you want to make sure, that you want to make better use of it?
I don't imagine that's their official fix for it. I think that's their way to try and mitigate it. I think I hope that they're still investigating it, trying to figure out what needs to be done. But I hope whatever they figure out needs to be done, they are willing to do. If that means replacing everybody's left Joy-Con, like, they need to make that right.
Agreed.
Like, they need to not tell me, hey, you need to go buy this new Joy-Con. They need to be like, here, send us your Joy-Con, and we'll send you a new one, at the very least. Because, like, yeah, it's kind of ridiculous.
I mean, they have a history of doing that for, like, say, if a game had a game-breaking glitch or something like that. The last time I can think of that is like Metroid Other M, but yeah, I agree. That should be a thing where they should be taking people's Joy-Cons and stuff if it's a widespread issue like that. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And it is going to cost them money, but, like, it's the price you pay for, taking care of your customers. I mean, if you look at Xbox with the Red Ring of Death, I mean, that ended up costing Microsoft billions of dollars, but, like, it was smart on them to fix it, and like, they were better off in the long run because of it.
Yeah, I don't know what they can do. And you guys talked about a little bit last week. Like, could this be something they can fix without having to have everybody send in their left Joy-Con controller or sending us new ones? Like, so I mean, logically, what I'm
Well, no, I guess not. I mean, it's got to send a signal because it's got to the console has to receive a signal from the Joy-Con. So it depends on where the issue is. Like logically, like I had talked about last week, like you could probably boost whatever Bluetooth signal from the console. Like just have it in the firmware. Like okay, is the console connected to power? It is. Cool. Boost the Bluetooth signal. Then hopefully that could mitigate it. But if it may end up needing a redesign of the Joy-Con, and if that's the case, then Nintendo needs to do what they need to do to get it fixed, because if this continues to be an issue, it's going to hurt their sales too.
Yeah, and like going on to what you said last week about like Apple and their issue with Apple, the iPhone 4, is Apple's like one of the biggest companies in the world. Like if they said, well, don't use a phone like that, they can kind of get away with that, even though it might hurt them a little bit in the long run. It's not going to really affect them too much. Xbox 360, they had a huge issue with the red ring. Like they fixed it, but I think honestly, if they wouldn't have, if they just would have left going on, and they would have obviously fixed it with the Elite and future ones. But I feel like they probably could have got away with it. Like the damn thing was that popular. Nintendo.
Yeah, I feel like it wouldn't have been as popular if like they hadn't done what they needed to do.
I still think they would have won a generation.
The PlayStation 3 was super strong. I mean? I don't think they would have. I don't know. That's tough. That's a tough call. I mean, if you imagine, because that was right when the 360 came out. Like,
yeah,
that was before even the PS3 came out. Like, if for that whole year before the PS3 came out, if the reputation of Xbox 360s were these things are ticking time bombs and they're all going to stop working, I think the PlayStation 3 would have come out a lot stronger.
True. Maybe there's a good argument you can have there either way. I mean, I went through 9 360s, so I know. But I mean, Nintendo is in a point in time right now where they can't afford, like, this thing has to be damn near perfect, I think, for them really to succeed. And coming out right now with like not a very good, like, they have a one good game coming out. Really, it was Zelda that anybody cares about, which you can buy another console. Nothing really coming out for a while, at least until Splatoon comes out in the late summer. Like, this thing needs to. You can't really have any negative publicity with it, so I'm curious to see like if and how they can fix it and what they do about fixing it. Like, are they gonna, like, if this is? I hope it's something they can just fix with an update. I want it to be as easy as possible, and I root for Nintendo. I am a Nintendo fanboy. But yeah, I don't know. It's like just that the 20 minutes I spent with dealing with the left Joy-Con controller was a frustrating experience for me.
Infuriating.
Yeah, and I hope to never experience that again. And I don't really plan on it because I have my Pro controller. So maybe I have Snipper Clips that I want to play. And then, can I play Snipper Clips? If I wanted to buy 1-2 Switch, can I play 1-2 Switch? Like, these are like serious. Like,
I think
these
those
like,
ones require the Joy-Cons.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, is this gonna cause issues when I play those games? Like, I have a soundbar, like, for my TV. It's a Bluetooth soundbar. Like, is that gonna cause issues? Like,
that could absolutely be part of what's causing issues.
And that's a big problem for me. Like, I love my soundbar. Like, I have it hooked up to my TV. There's a reason I have it. It's like, why is it? I don't know. It's something I shouldn't have to worry about, and I'm just curious what Nintendo can do and what they will do to fix this and in the long term, deal with this. But
for shizzle.
Yeah. Anyways, we are decent links to the way into this podcast, and really haven't actually talked about anything as far outside Nintendo.
You said we talked about everything.
Yeah, we talked about a lot, but we haven't really jumped into kind of like the meat and potatoes.
Do we want to see what Gables been playing? Or?
Yeah, that's what I was going to try to jump into awkwardly. Gables, outside of waiting inside of Walmart's, what have you been playing?
I've only been really playing one game, and that has been Pokken Tournament on the Wii U.
There you go.
Now, here's the thing. Pokken Tournament was a game I bought last year, but I hadn't really gotten into. And so during the earlier parts of this week, I decided to give it a go. So far, it's kind of an interesting fighting game. I mean, it's not like readily as, say, on the lines of, say, a major Tekken or maybe a major Street Fighter game. But at the same point, the gameplay is fun enough to where I'm constantly going through and experimenting with what I want to try to do moveset wise with my character of choice so far, Blaziken. And so far, I'm really enjoying my experience. It has a sort of weird fighting system where it switches between a 3D fighter and a 2D fighter, where it's kind of jarring at first. Because basically it goes into things called phase shifts, where you begin a match where it's all in like a open sort of 3D perspective, and you basically have to use some combination of moves. It could be a grab, it could be like a projectile attack that's going to do something called a phase shift. And when it shifts, it can shift into a sort of a 2D sort of fighter where it's the side fighter type of stuff, like a classic fighting game style. And basically what I have been starting to do and stuff is I've been trying to learn little basic combos with Blaziken, try to see what other types of moves that I can do with them and stuff. And it's been a real good joy in order to try to progressively learn how this battle system is. And the thing about it does have a learning curve. It took me at least a solid like an hour and a half or something like that to really get accustomed to how the game played. But afterwards, it just feels natural for me to go through and just play it. On the other hand, what I don't like about the game so far has been pretty much the story mode aspect of it. Like, have you ever played a game where you come across voice acting that's so horrendous and stuff like that it actually probably deters you from playing the game somewhat?
Huh. I can kind of see that.
Well, here's the thing, though. Pocket Tournament does have some elements of stuff where it just feels openly obvious where they probably have taken some random people off the street in order to do their audio cues. Because even with, like, the lady or something like that you have that's pitching advice, which you can change. That's the thing. I like how you can change the frequency. Like, you can turn it off entirely if you don't want to listen to certain tips. But because I'm still new to playing the game, I have it on because I want to see if it'll actually give you some useful advice, which, yeah, it does. It does to a certain extent, but it may not be as big of an issue for some people who have played this game, or they just really don't care in general because they're there for the gameplay, but it can be kind of funny just listening to some monotone, like, certain things, especially from, like a different type of leaders that you do face in the span of the game and stuff. So how the single player is controlled is you have to fight your way up certain rankings in order to qualify for a particular tournament for each rank. So you start off at a D rank and you earn your ranks up until you go and qualify for this 6-player tournament. And once you get done completing the 6-player tournament, you have to go and do a proclamation test. It's pretty much you have to battle against the leader of that division. And once you pass it, you qualify for the next division. And so currently I went through D class and C class, and I'm on the B class thing right now, but I haven't started any type of rank ups because I wanted to try to level up my Blaziken to the extent where I can power it up so I would have a little bit more easier of a time during some of these fights, because it doesn't kid around when it says the difficulty will spike up when it comes to some of the higher classes. So what I'm doing is I'm leveling up my Blaziken to where I want to try to get the strategy stat a little bit higher up, because that's just the thing that it has you do. Whenever you level up, you put a little skill point in a particular stat. There are 4 stats. You have attack and defense, which are like regular in terms of like RPG development and stuff, but you also have strategy and synergy. Each have their own like different types of perks and stuff. So my Blaziken obviously is like an offensive type of fighter. So with that, I have the attack stat higher than everything else. So I got like 13 points in attack, like around 10 in defense, and like around 6 in synergy, 7 in like strategy and stuff like that. I'm at level 30, I think, and I've played like about a good solid 55, 56 matches. So I'm around like 3.5 hours to 4 into this game. I'm enjoying myself, but at the same point, I want to see what else is more available because I'm not really enamored with the game itself, but I am enjoying the gameplay of it. So I probably
Do you typically like fighting games?
Yes.
Like, is that okay?
Well,
I wasn't sure if you were like usually somebody who enjoyed a lot of fighting games.
Well, that's the thing. I have played a good portion of fighting games. I went through on the Xbox 360 and completed Tekken 6. I have actually gone through and played a lot of Street Fighter games, like Street Fighter 3, other types of other Street Fighter games. Played a lot of Smash.
Yeah.
Well, that's just the thing, though. I know it's made by the same people that actually have done Tekken games and this and that and stuff. It definitely does play reminiscent to some Tekken-style gameplay. It's just I just need to get kind of used to it because it kind of feels like it doesn't know what it wants to be. Is it a 3D fighter? Is it like a side-scrolling type of fighter and stuff like that? But yeah, nothing really too bad about it. I just feel it's kind of average right at the moment. But that's just me.
Cool.
But that's it. That's pretty much what I've been playing.
Oh, it's very cool, man. Like that's the one Wii U game that I didn't play that I wanted to play a lot. So I'm glad you're liking it. But
Yeah.
Troy, have you been?
Yeah.
You got the Switch? Have you played anything?
I do have the Switch. So yeah, like I said, my wife and I jumped into a little bit of 1-2 Switch last night. Nothing major. When you get that game, when you first start it up, like it kind of forces you to play some of the easier game styles because it's just like it's a mini game collection is all 1-2 Switch is. I don't know if you guys have seen a video of it and whatnot, but it's
more than I want to.
Probably like a weird cross between like a Wii Sports and maybe like WarioWare, but not as good as WarioWare.
Mm-hmm.
I picked it up mainly because I'm going to PAX East this week, and I figure I'll have plenty of downtime and stuff to mess around, and having a game like that might be something fun to pass the time. So yeah, you fire it up, and it makes you play through a couple of the easier ones before it'll open up like the vast majority. I think there's a total of 28 mini games in it. So it gives you like 5 or 6 to choose from the start, and you've got to play like I think at least 4 of those before it'll unlock the rest of the game, which includes team battle mode, which is like a board game kind of thing where it like lays out random mini games, and then you basically roll to move forward, almost like a Mario Party sort of style. And then the first ones to the end of the map win. So yeah, I mean it's pretty good though. Like it's interesting. It's a lot of fun. Pretty competitive. I can see like maybe playing drinking games with the wife with this, which would be a lot of fun. Just something to screw around with, when family's in town and stuff. Just to show off the Switch to people. Because the only other game I've got is Zelda, and that's, single player. And at this point, I mean, I'm 2.5, 3 hours into the game. And so anybody who wants to see the game, like, like I can't necessarily just hand them and say, here, take over. Like, it's not something I am interested in doing, having somebody take over my game. So if I'm going to show off the Switch to anybody, I think 1-2 Switch is about the only way that's going to happen. The HD Rumble, though. So there's one of the mini games in 1-2 Switch, which is like a ball counting game. Like it's basically like the controller is supposed to have some balls in it, and you're supposed to be able to like move it around and rotate it and kind of like you can feel these balls rolling around in the controller as if the controller was a box. And you're supposed to be like just deduce from like the movements of them, and you can like feel them like rolling and bumping into each other and bumping into the sides, and you're supposed to guess how many balls is inside of this box. So you indicate on the controller how many balls you think's there, and then you set the controller down, and the other person's doing the same thing with theirs. That's actually super like good. Like the HD Rumble is one of those things like it's a gimmick, it doesn't make a difference, but really like it does a really good job of creating the illusion of having little marbles inside of this Joy-Con while you're moving it around. Like you can actually feel individual balls like they're actually in the controller, like sliding around inside the controller, which was super impressive. Like, I mean, you hear, HD Rumble, haha, okay, whatever, but like actually to feel that, practiced actually was something that was super impressive, and that mini game in particular kind of shows off that aspect of it. I don't know how useful that'll be for other games, but like that one mini game itself kind of like sells you on what the possibility of HD Rumble is. It was actually pretty impressive.
So
Yeah, but Zelda is the other game that I've been playing.
how is that so far?
I am really enjoying it. You say you're about 45 minutes in? So, like, I mean, what have you done so far in the game?
I finished that. I woke up. I finished the first shrine, and that's about as far as I got.
Okay, I just finished my second shrine and kind of did a little bit of exploring in the area, trying to figure out the way to get to the other two shrines. So basically, when you wake up and you meet this old guy, and then you kind of get called to this hill, and you get to the hill and find out that it's like this long dormant tower, and this tower shoots up into the sky, and this is basically how you unlock the map. I mean, anybody who's played an Assassin's Creed game or any other game, recently, any other open world game kind of gets this concept of you get on this tower, it unlocks a chunk of the map. Yep. Unlike those other games like Assassin's Creed, it doesn't like throw icons on the map. Like, it's up to you to actually look around and see things, and it's like, oh, that's interesting, and you can mark it, and then you make your way to it. Like, it's not like throwing down icons. These are the million things you can do in this area. So yeah, the opening area is, I don't remember, it's the plateau. Do you remember offhand what it's called?
The Great Plateau.
Yeah, the Great Plateau. And just this one chunk of the map is pretty substantial. Yeah. Like, it's a good size little chunk of the map. So, I mean, ostensibly, there's another, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 other chunks of the map. So, I mean, the size of this map is probably going to be pretty huge. What are your thoughts of the first 45 minutes?
I'm liking it. As far as, like, one thing I love a lot, and is like when you leave the little temple area you're in at the beginning, when you wake up and you get to the cliff and it like spans out and the music hits. I fucking love that music. And it's kind of like if The Last Guardian and Zelda like had a baby and they made music. That'd be it. For people who don't know, I am a huge Last Guardian fan. But yeah, the first 45 minutes, it's weird. It's taking a lot to get used to, as far as like, I'm not the biggest Zelda fan in the world. Like, I like Zelda. I've beaten a lot of them. I enjoy them, obviously. It's just kind of like just getting used to like the battling in this game, like or like just I'm collecting mushrooms or apples. It's a big change. And I don't know, I'm not saying I dislike it, but it's a change. And it's just something I'm going to have to get used to with this game. But I do like, kind of like, there's that Ubisoftness to it, where it's like, there's a tower, and like, now, yeah, like you said, it meant like, now this area, like, now it's unlocked. And like going to the shrine and dealing with the magnet power you have. Definitely in the first 45 minutes, I am interested. And I want to see and understand what happens. Like, the story, as far as like, the little bit we've had, like maybe 5-6 minutes of story in this point, is like the most I've been sucked into a Zelda storyline, I think, probably ever. Whereas like want to, like, I've been asleep for 100 years. I want to know what the hell happened. I am more interested in what the hell happened than I am in stopping the bad guy, Ganon.
Right, just finding the story of what happened, or like, what are the circumstances surrounding everything. One thing that struck me, like, I appreciate Zelda. I've played a few of the Zeldas. I don't think I've ever actually completed a Zelda yet. Probably the closest I got is Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess. But the one thing that struck me the most about this game is there is practically no tutorial. Like, I mean, every time you come across a new thing, it's like, oh, well, this is what this is. In the broad strokes, like, you pick up mushrooms and it's like, well, yeah, you can eat these and they'll, do this or do that. But like, it's not like an in-depth tutorial. Like, there's ostensibly, like, I know that's there, but I haven't interacted with it yet. There's like a crafting system where like you can mix ingredients and cook them up, and you can create new dishes that do certain things and have certain aspects that, you know, will buff you in certain ways. But those recipes aren't just found out in the world. Like, these are things that you kind of gotta feel out and explore. There's not, like in Ocarina or Twilight Princess, the first hour and a half where they like, you know, carry you through a bunch of weird scenarios, you know, just trying to teach you the mechanics of the game. It's almost as if you've just been dropped into this world. Like, I'm kind of feeling everything out, kind of like I don't know exactly how I should be doing things, and that's kind of refreshing for a Zelda game. Most Zelda games are very hand-holdy in the first couple hours of the game, you know, and this one is absolutely not that. It's just like, here, you're in this world, kind of explore and figure out what's going on your own. On my way to... No, I'm not going to say what I was going to say. It might be a little spoilery. There was going to the second of the shrines on this landmass that you start out in. I came across an enemy that kind of took me by surprise, and to this point, like, I don't know how to deal with this enemy, to the point that I had to find a way to skirt around where this enemy was located, because I am pretty sure anything that I have cannot do any damage to this enemy. And it killed me in one shot. So like already in the first, you know, hour of the game, I'm already like finding areas where it's like, well, maybe I'm not quite prepared for this, you know, and that's kind of interesting, you know, and I'm interested to see where it goes. On the music front, so one thing that I found was really interesting, I think when you first you activate that first tower, there's this concept of, and it may have actually happened before that, maybe when you get the little Shrika tablet or whatever, but this like distilling, have you seen that term, distilling? And it's like this giant rock that's like hanging above, and it glows blue, and then it like drips a little drop, but the whole time it's building up this, and it says, oh, we're distilling something. And I was joking around with myself, I was like, haha, they're making some whiskey, but literally like all that comes out of this is like a single drop that drops down onto your little tablet. But the whole time that it's like quote unquote distilling, it's like making this like do 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 do, and then like it just drips on the tablet, and there's like no, and it's building up that whole it's a classic Zelda tune where it's like where it culminates in the do 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 sound, like if Link had just found a new piece of a heart container or something. Like, I think that's where that sound comes from. But it's funny because it has that build up, and it's a really familiar build up, but it doesn't do the end piece that I'm accustomed to from a Zelda game, which is kind of funny. It like takes the traditional Zelda music and kind of twists it around, which is really crazy.
And I noticed that exact same thing too, actually. Like, that last little do 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 part is missing. I love that. Yeah. It's like, because in my mind I've been trained to like, oh, I know this, and it's like, wait, no, that was different. Yeah. And that's a cool thing about this game. That's the point I forgot to mention, is that like everything feels different in this game, and the music won for sure, but also the lack of tutorial. Like, I went through and I started playing Twilight Princess last year, and they re-released it for the Wii U, and I beat it when it first came out for the Wii, and like I could not get into that game. Like, I played like 8 hours of it, and I still felt like I was like into tutorial at certain points. It's like I play the game, and then it's like, oh, we're still introducing you to new things in this game. It's just like, how many hours into this game do I have to play before it's finally like, it's the game? And it's as cool as Zelda can be, and once you get out of that tutorial point, it's pretty awesome. But it's just, when you're stuck in it, it's just annoying. Like, it treats you like a child, and I love that too. Like, you feel like you are Link for the first time, maybe ever, in a Zelda game, where it's like, you don't know what the hell is going on. Like, you just woke up, and it's like, you've been asleep for 100 years. Shit went bad. You got to figure it out, what happened, and also fix it at the same time. And I love that idea of this game.
Do you know what it really reminds me of, though? It reminds me of the original Legend of Zelda, like a reimagined Legend of Zelda for the NES. Because everything,
that's probably the closest comparison.
Whenever you guys were talking about this, it just gives me back to the closest thing it reminds me of, and the only thing I can think of is the Legend of Zelda for the NES. because it did almost exactly sort of the same type of concepts, like no tutorials whatsoever, basically putting you in a gigantic overworld and stuff like that, where you had to figure out bits and pieces and stuff like that. This is the full realization of what The Legend of Zelda is supposed to be, not like how modernized and how everything else turned to be, like with the past couple releases, like say Twilight Princess or Skyward Sword or something like that. But I'm excited to try to play that whenever I get around to it.
Yeah, I'm super impressed so far. Like, I think it's really good, and I mean, it's getting amazing reviews, like near perfect scores all over the place. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and I'm happy because I thought about this a while ago, but this is easily Nintendo's biggest game they ever made, and it goes way off the beaten path of Nintendo games. And it was like you're excited at one point because Nintendo and what they can do with this open world environment, like that probably no one's ever done before. But at the same time, you're concerned because they've never done this before. And I'm happy to hear that going based off reviews, like they knocked it out of the park. So I am definitely excited about jumping into this game.
We didn't even know that Zelda was going to be a launch title until the announce in January.
Yep.
Can you imagine a world where the Switch launches and Zelda is not the launch game? Like, imagine if you took Zelda out of the launch lineup. Like, what would there be to sell that console? Like, I mean, honestly, and I think it was a Forbes article that I read that described Zelda as the best example of a system seller at launch since like Mario 64.
That's true.
Like, never before has there been a game that sold a system at launch the way Zelda sells the Switch.
Yeah, and that's something I thought about recently. Like a couple of days ago, I was just like, I probably would still be buying a Switch right now at this point, but I probably wouldn't have bought a game for it. Maybe Cyberclips I would have bought. Like, but if like we knew Zelda was coming down the line, but I've said it before. I'm an idiot when it comes to buying shit. I buy a lot of stupid shit, so I probably would have had it still. But yeah, I can't imagine this thing would be outside of the gimmick, for lack of a better term, of it being a handheld / tabletop / dock to your TV system. Like, there's no other seller for it. There's no reason to own it. Zelda's it for this thing. And like, what would be your premier game? 1-2 Switch, which is
there's not
a $50 game that should be a pack-in. Bomberman maybe is your second best game.
No, Bomberman is not great. So I was watching. So Giant Bomb did a big like 3-hour like launch day kind of thing, like they typically do with things, and they played through a bunch of the games, and they even had a few of the games from the Japanese eShop. There's not so. Like, the launch lineup is not nearly as sparse as people maybe would think. Mm-hmm. There's not a whole lot of, like, super great selling games, but I think that for just about anybody, there's at least 1 or 2 games that are worth owning on the system. And then they recently had their Nindies Nintendo Direct thing, where they kind of talked about a lot of the indie games that are going to be coming to the system within the next few months or so, and there are some seriously good indie games that are on the way for this system. So I mean, I guess if your idea of a good system is one that has like a constant flow of AAA games, then yeah, you may find yourself disappointed in the Switch, even in the long term. But the way I see the Switch going is, and I don't want to say, hopefully it goes better in the AAA side, but kind of like the Vita, the PlayStation Vita. Everybody who bought it, they were sold on this idea. It's a PlayStation 3 powerful, console that's handheld that you take with you. You have all these amazing games that could be played on the PlayStation 3, but they're going to be in the palm of your hands. And Sony kind of didn't end up delivering more than a handful of games that were of that caliber on the system. But what the system did become was the place to play a lot of indie games, a lot of the JRPGs and these type of games. And I see the Switch taking that away. Like, if anything is going to make the Vita, because I mean, the Vita, you joke around and say, well, the Vita's been dead for a while, but really it hasn't. Like, there is a huge fan base for the Vita that still holds, that system dear and still continues to buy games for that system. But if anything is going to drive developers away from putting all those quirky little indie games or or the JRPGs and stuff like that, I think those are going to all migrate to the Switch because the Switch is more powerful and more versatile. So if anything's going to kill the Vita, it is unfortunately going to be the Switch. I say unfortunately because I own 2 Vitas and I love the system, but the Switch is the next logical progression along that lines. But once again, unless Nintendo can infuse it with at least a healthy amount of AAA coverage, even if it's just first-party AAA games, they're going to have trouble because a lot of gamers, that maybe aren't as nuanced or whatever, like that's what they want. They want those AAA games. There's a lot of gamers. I mean, you see it all the time with the PlayStation Plus lineup when they're giving you indie games and people are just up in arms that they're not getting all these, $60 AAA games for free and they're getting all these crap indie games. Well, who wants to play these indie games, So Nintendo's kind of got an uphill battle if they can't, get either third-party AAA to jump on board and or to keep a steady supply of first-party AAA games for the thing.
Well,
thoughts?
Well, yeah, pretty much. Oh yeah, I pretty much kind of agree with you right there with Troy, with all the indie game stuff. I mean, it's interesting to see what's coming out for this system in the coming months. I mean, I'm really interested in Blaster Master Zero and possible Snake Pass or whatever the heck that thing is called, where you're just basically controlling a gigantic snake and stuff and try to do a platformer and stuff levels.
So I have never played Skyrim. If I were to play Skyrim, the Switch might be a place to play it because I can take it on the go.
Yeah.
A game like Stardew Valley, which I actually bought on the Steam sale recently, but I feel like a portable version of Stardew Valley is kind of a great prospect, and that's coming to Switch. So I mean, there's a lot of these indie games that I think will be very well suited for the Switch.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
And I'm not trying to imply that Skyrim is an indie game, but it's a AAA game that people are like, oh well, you can play a game that came out in 2008. But I am one person who never played that game, so maybe having it on the Switch might be the place that I actually end up playing that game.
I know. I kind of feel the same.
Tyler, you're quiet.
Yeah, he is really quiet all of a sudden. Let me try to see if I can add him back up to the group call. I think he actually dropped.
Oh, did he drop out?
I think so. Let's see if I can get him going.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he isn't here.
What did I miss?
Just talking about games like Skyrim, which I never played. Talking about... So yeah, I've never played Skyrim, so maybe the Switch will be the place where I play that. A game like Stardew Valley, which is a great indie game that's coming to the system that I own on Steam, but I think a portable version of that would be great. I remember thinking that the Vita version would be great to play, but it's, as far as right now, hasn't been announced for Vita, so that'd be something that would be a great game for the Switch. So I mean, as long as Nintendo can, I don't know if you heard it, but if they can't, keep a steady flow of AAA games, I think a lot of gamers are really going to be disappointed because that's what people want. I think, I personally am fine with a console that has just a bunch of really good quality indie games and a few, say the Nintendo AAA games, coming each year. But I think core gamers and a lot of people are going to be really upset about that. I don't know if you heard me talking about that. Did you?
No, I missed that part.
Yeah. So yeah, I was like, evidenced by people bitching about the free PlayStation Plus games every month. It's like, why do we keep getting all this crap indie stuff? Like, all I want is these AAA games. Like, I don't want this crap. Why am I paying $60 a month or $60 a year if I'm not getting AAA games? Nobody wants this indie crap.
Yeah. And I'm kind of in the same boat with you actually on that. I feel like if that's what it is, and it's just like, we get some cool indie games a few times a year, and then we get some great Nintendo games here and there a few times a year. I'm told that this is what that console, I'm buying that console for that. I don't know if Nintendo can survive on that, like just being a Vita, slightly bigger Vita kind of console, but if that's all it is, like I get my Zelda, my Splatoon 2, and then Mario this year, and then I get some cool shit next year, like maybe a Metroid or a Pokemon or something like that next year. Like, I go back to this thing a handful of times a year. I'm okay with that. Like, the Wii U, that's what it was for me. I went and I picked it up a handful of times a year. The only thing that sucked was the last year and a half of it being out was after Mario Maker came out, there was no point in having it. Like as long as we don't have a drought like that, like I'm fine with that. Like I have an Xbox One, and I have a PS4. I have a computer. If I really want to play games on it, I can play games on my computer. I don't want to, but I can. So I have several solutions as far as like gaming goes for me. I'm just kind of curious what they're going to do or attempt to do to make this thing bigger than what the Wii U was. And I think right now, I think what the gimmick with the, like I said earlier, that lack of a better phrase, I think the gimmick for this thing is stronger than what the Wii U was. And also the name title. The name for this thing is way better than the Wii U. The Wii U is a terrible name.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think the Wii U did suffer from being like that confusion. Is like, oh, well, is it just an add-on for the Wii that I already got? No, that's not the case. It's a new console. And I think, they've kind of taken the good parts of the Wii U and kind of blown those up. Like the gamepad was a good idea, not well implemented because you can't go more than 10 or 12 feet away from your console before it loses signal. So they basically took this good concept from the Wii U and made it the new console. It's like now you can pick it up and walk out the door with it. I've been kind of throwing I don't know if you remember the hashtag Game Changer Vita commercial back when the Vita was coming out, where the guy was sitting at home playing MLB The Show, and it's like, oh, you got to be to work, and if your boss isn't going to ride you like a donkey or whatever, you need to get out the door. So he transfers his save to his Vita, and then it shows him walking through San Francisco playing MLB The Show. But like that was the promise of the Vita when it launched. It's like, oh yeah, right, you're going to be able to take your games with you when you're done, or when you got to go, and that may have kind of weirdly worked in some cases, but not so much because you had to transfer saves and transfer it to the cloud, re-download it, and it was typically indie games that allowed you to do that. The AAA games on the Vita didn't really, I think you had transferring with some of the Metal Gear games, and MLB The Show was about the only other game that you could actually physically transfer your save onto the Vita and continue playing, but it wasn't a seamless process by any means, whereas with the Switch, it's literally just you click the damn Joy-Cons on, pick the console up out of the dock, and you're gone. And I mean, everything just, seamlessly carries over. So basically, the Wii U is not the Switch is not only delivering on the promise of the Wii U, it's delivering on the promise of the Vita.
Yeah. And that's something we've talked about. I've talked about in the past. It seems like this isn't necessarily, the Switch isn't necessarily a new idea, but it's them going all in with, in a better way of what the kind of the Vita remote play and all that, what we thought it would be. And that like you said, that's a good point too, with the whole idea of taking MLB The Show on the road on the road. The problem with that though is you also had to buy a copy of the Vita version, plus the PS3 or PS4 version, so that was $80 you bought the bundle, or $100 you bought them separately. So this, the whole idea is, the idea sounds great, and I hope it works out well. I think the software is going to be the biggest. And it's fair to say it's been the biggest concern about Nintendo since the GameCube. Is the software going to be there in the end?
And it's really the third-party software, and but I think they've got a solid foundation now, with the Nindies that they've announced and the indie games that are coming to the console. I think it's a solid foundation. I think that this is going to become the de facto. It's going to unseat the Vita. As much as I love my Vita, it's going to unseat the Vita. It's going to be the place where all the JRPGs go. It's going to be the place where all those little quirky indies go. It's going to unseat that, and in my opinion, that's a good thing. Those games are amazing games. I'm not, stuck with my nose in the air oh, it's got to be AAA or nothing. These indie games, the quality of indie games that have been coming out has just been phenomenal. And to know that they'll be coming to the Switch where I can take them on the go is pretty awesome.
Yeah. And I mean, right now I think it's a solid start for the Switch with Zelda. I'm just, my concern is, a month from now, 3 weeks from now, what are we gonna be doing, and what are you gonna be doing in May, June, July? Those in between months is something they gotta work on. That's been the biggest problem with them, is filling in those gaps, and maybe the Virtual Console can be a big help with that, and also the Nindies. Like I said, I think right off the bat, I'm really impressed. With the hour I've spent with it, I've definitely agreed playing a lot more of this damn thing. Hopefully, over the next few years or so. But I do, before we wrap up the show, we're going a little long with some of the stuff. I do want to talk a little bit about Horizon Zero Dawn. I picked that up. I got that. I actually bought it digitally. I put about 4 hours into it at this point in time. People don't know Horizon Zero Dawn. It is a open world like game that takes place like at least 1,000 years in the future, if not more. And now like machines are like roaming the world, and they're almost like animal like creatures. And like you just take like basically human civilization is reverted back to kind of like being almost to the point of being cave like creatures, where they're not so much in caves, but they are like living in like wooden shacks, and like
Primitive.
Primitive is a good way to put it. Yeah, thank you. Like where they don't really have like, they do have some technology, like they have some like cool weapons. Like we have like one of the first weapons you can buy is a trip caster, which is like basically like a tripwire thing you can make that shocks the robot mechanical creatures, and it stuns them. You can attack them. You have some cool like staffs and shit like that. It's a really cool weird game where like it does a really good job of like having some cool future type weapons, but also making it feel like you're taking like it's almost like Far Cry
Primal.
Yeah, like it feels like it's a combo of that, where it's like here's some cool shit that but we don't have yet, but here's like what makes it feel like you're back in the old days. Like your main weapon you have is a bow, but you can do some like there's like some technology behind it, and you find like it's kind of the way it starts is like you start off as your Aloy, and she doesn't have a mother. We don't know who the mother is, and she's with this guy Rouse, I think is how you pronounce his name, and he's not the father, but he was given to Aloy was given to her or him to kind of help and protect and raise, and like she wants to like she finds like she goes in like this underground like cavern and finds like this old like bunker type of thing, and like it's like you find these audio files, and it's like I don't want to spoil too much, but it's like almost like they're like the last of like the remaining people alive. Like shit went wrong. You don't know what it is, but they have like audio files, and it's like talking about like vaguely about what's going on. And you find like this little contraption that you hook up to your ear, and it kind of like uses as like a sonar type of thing, where you can like find the weakness on animals and find like certain things in the environment. And it kind of like flash forwards like a little bit, where like there's actually a really cool montage in the beginning of the game where it's like basically she wants to find out why she is like, so technically she's an outcast, and so is Roust or Ross, whatever the fuck his name is. And like outcasts are not allowed to talk to people, like the people in tribes can't talk to them, and they can't talk to people in the tribe.
They've been shunned.
They say that word a lot, is actually shunned. Like they can't, like it's against tribal law. Like, and Ross is like he's an upstanding person, a really cool guy. He trains Aloy in like hunting and everything like that, and also like how to live life and be a good person. And also it's like he follows, even though he became an outcast himself, he follows the rules of the tribal law. And they don't really explain why at this point, early on in the game. But she wants to know why, who her mother was, and why she, why is she an outcast, and why is she, what happened at birth and all that. She basically just wants to know what caused her to be put in this situation. And she has to go to this thing called the Proving. And I don't really know what it is yet, because I haven't got to that point. I'm fairly close to that point, I think. But she just goes, like, they talk about, like, it starts off, like I said, you go in an underground cavern. She's maybe 5-6 years old at this point, and like the montage, and all of a sudden she's probably, I don't know, maybe late teens, early 20s at this point, and she's training her entire life to do the Proving, and to win it. And if she wins it, she can have like basically anything she wants, she can have it. And she's like her goal is to win it and figure out, like I said, like her past. But I've been like so like engrossed by some of the side quests, and it's funny, there's main quests, side quests, and there's errands. Like, so there's like a whole different like a lower notch of like side quests where like hey, this person, like this guy's daughter is missing. Go find this daughter. And like, oh, okay. Yeah, just like it's like they're like shorter like versions of side quests. But I've been so sucked into like every single side quest I find or errand I find. I've been going out and doing those things, and like there's like a leveling up system. It's definitely like you said, Troy, a few weeks ago, where it's like there is a lot of Far Cry in this game.
Yeah.
As far as like, they definitely have taken a lot from like the upgrade system and like the overall building of that. But I feel like the overall gameplay itself is not. It hasn't from that, but the overall gameplay is so it's really good. Like the creatures that you fight, like I've only dealt with a couple of them. It seems like they're kind of like the easy ones. Like I'm still in like the first main area, which is I feel like there's not really much of a tutorial in this game, but I would feel like this is like as far as like a normal game progresses go, this is a tutorial area where these animals are easy to kind of like figure out and also defeat. But I love like that there's some Dark Souls elements to it where it has like a combat rule you can do, and even though you're fighting maybe two of these creatures at the same time, it's not easy, you know, like you gotta like aim your shot. You can't just like shoot with your bow and arrow like wildly and stuff. Like it's like you gotta take your time, you gotta dodge, you gotta like you gotta do things. I love that where it's like every like I'm only like I said I'm a few hours in, but every battle I've gotten into has felt like it was a battle. It's not like a formulaic, oh, just do this, shoot this, oh, just it's a bullet sponge, shoot this guy. It's like, no, like there's weaknesses and you want to hit this thing, and these things move, they're fast, they jump around like crazy, and like you gotta just hit them just right. When you hit them in like the critical hit spot, like you hit them like there's one of these creatures like you hit them in the eye, and that's like the kill, basically a one hit kill, or one of them has like a gun on the back of it. It's like right by its tail, and you can shoot that off and knock it off, and basically like it can still charge at you, but as far as like long range damage goes, it's useless. And just like knocking that off or whatever, it feels good, and I love how tense every battle is right now. It's not like Dark Souls hard, but there's definitely I can see some of the Dark Souls or Bloodborne in it. From that, like they definitely taken a lot from that combat, and that's kind of that combat system, and I hope it sticks up. But I face a couple other I faced one other bigger creature that's in the story. I don't want to delve too much into it. And I'm slowly progressing the game. I'm playing when I can, but so far about 4 hours in, I am definitely interested, and I love quite a bit what I played of it, and it's definitely living up to the hype as of this point for me. And I hope maybe a little more. I'll play a lot of it this coming week, and I'll talk a little more next week, maybe with some more in-depth details. But yeah, early impressions.
I'll be interested to see how you balance both Horizon and Zelda at the same time, because they're both like ostensibly, I mean, from everything I've heard and seen, they're similar games and they've been directly compared. Obviously, there are major differences between them, but so like everything I've heard about Horizon, it's amazing, and I intend to play this game. I am psyched to play it, but with school situations and life situations as they are, I cannot afford to spend the time to play that game. I cast my light with Zelda because I was getting the Switch, and also I've got probably 10, 12, 15 hours of time in airports and waiting in line at PAX and in hotels and stuff like that in my near future. So Zelda seemed like a better bet for me, that I would actually have time to play it. I look forward to jumping into Horizon probably after graduation for sure, because like everything that I've heard and seen of it looks amazing. The story looks super great, but I just think it'd be really funny to see how you are able to balance between these two games.
Yeah, that's something I've been trying to figure out for the last few months now. And I still don't know how quite I'm going to do it, especially with Mass Effect is a little under 3 weeks away at this point. Yeah, I'm not sure.
You're going to be busy.
Yeah, I don't really have time to play the game anyways, so trying to play 2 games that are 40-plus hour long games minimum.
As Tommy Lee Jones said in the movie Firebirds to Nicolas Cage, boy, you going to be busy as a 3-peckered goat.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do what I can. I think I did last year actually when Doom and Uncharted 4 came out, like the same, like within 3 days of each other. Is I rotated games every day. I'd like, okay, today's Uncharted day, next day's Doom day. So I might try to do that, but these are totally different games where those games were like linear.
And they're all super long.
Games. Yeah, those games are like, I beat those games in like 15 hours a piece. These games are way longer than that.
Going to be like 60 plus hours for all 3 of these games.
Yeah, so I don't know what I'm going to do. Crying seems like a good idea right now.
That's not going to help you beat these games.
No, it's not. I'm going to lose time because I'm crying instead of playing games. I don't know. It's something I'm going to play by ear. If anything, I might just pick one and stick with it. And at this point, it might be Horizon. I've talked about in the past, like I am way more. And Horizon was like my second most anticipated game of 2017, only behind South Park. So, and so far, it's
and South Park might not be coming out in 2017. So
that's
hey,
a good point. Yeah, so it might end up being my most anticipated by default. But yeah, I don't know. So far, Horizon's living up to the hype, and it came out a few days earlier, so I got a head start on it. So that might be the game I go to and stick with for at least the time being. Maybe I'll play the Switch finally in like fucking June or something after Mass Effect. I'm done with Mass Effect. I don't know. Who knows?
We'll see what happens. I look forward to hearing the balancing act that you have in your near future.
Yes. Yeah. Hopefully, yeah. I'm looking. Yeah. It's a weird situation where like I'm happy the Switch is out. Like I've been wanting to play the Switch for a long time, even before I knew it was the Switch. But it's like when I finally got it, I'm like, yay, cool. Like I don't have fucking time to play this damn thing. And also, Horizon's here, so I have even less time to play this damn thing. It's a weird situation to be in as far as gaming goes. First world problems.
Yeah, no, it's really funny. Like, I mean, 2-3 years ago, this time of the year, you might get one decent game that's expected to last you for the duration until summertime. But like
August.
So far this year, we've had 4 or 5 super strong titles drop this early in the year, and more than half of them are like meaty games. Like they're not 5-6 hour campaigns, that we're talking 50-60 hours, you know. So yeah, it's kind of a weird glut that we've got going on right now. It's kind of interesting. I mean, probably the best time ever to be a gamer.
Yeah, or best or worst depending on time. But yeah, it's not over. Like you look at like May, we have Prey and Injustice 2 coming out. I mean, those probably will be shorter games, but it's there's a lot of shit coming out around the corner, so it's never ending. But you know what? I'm gonna go ahead. I think I might wrap up the show at this point. We're going a little long. We didn't jump into really into the news, but that's fine. We will have something to talk about next week, at least. But if you want to hear more from us, we are on Facebook. We have a page and group. It is Drunk-Nerds. So check us out on there. On Twitter, it is at DrunkNerdsPod. So follow us on there. And on Twitch, we're Drunk Nerds Podcast. They finally let you change your name. But I've already created an account, and I've already been like pimping it out for the last few weeks. So I'm not gonna go back and change the old thing to the new name. We have a new Twitch account, Drunk Nerds Podcast. Check us out on there, and also on YouTube. We are Drunk Nerds or Drunk-Nerds. I'm sorry. So subscribe to us on there, and like our some of our videos. The podcast goes up on there. You might know because you already listened to the podcast on YouTube. We are also on iTunes. Majority of listen to us on iTunes, but that's the case. Whatever. Anyways, if you listen to us on iTunes, leave us a review. Preferably 5 stars. 4 is fine as well. Anything less, don't even waste your time.
Just don't even bother. No. All reviews are good as long as they're honest reviews.
That's very true.
Yeah, as long as they're honest reviews and they're above 4.
mean, if you want to give us 3, 2, or 1 star, that's fine. But tell us why. Like we want to know where we can improve.
Mm-hmm. If we need to clone Gables and just make a second podcast where it's just 3 Gables recording a podcast, we'll do it. We'll figure it out.
The 3 Gables cast.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Like we'll make it happen.
So I won't be here next week because I will be at PAX East. But the good news is I will be back the following week with plenty to talk about.
Oh yeah, it's true. Yeah, that's good. I forgot about that. That goes on all weekend, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I fly out on Wednesday. And I land in New York Wednesday night. Then Thursday we're driving to Boston and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday is PAX, and then Monday I fly back to New Mexico. So yeah, I'll be gone for most of the weekend. But yeah, should see lots of stuff. I mean, I've got appointments to see games, and so yeah, I should have plenty to talk about when I get back. And then I'll have spent plenty of time in Zelda, so I'll be able to report back on that. So I'm gonna miss you guys next week, but hey, you guys, the show must go on.
You'll be doing much cooler things than what we typically do. So I'm excited to hear in 2 weeks we're doing. And also, before I forget, I will be on the Talking Ship podcast coming out sometime next week. Well, I guess not next week. It's technically Sunday when this comes out. So sometime this week, I will be on there. We'll be talking Terminator Genesis. So check me out on there, and also check out the podcast. We're pretty cool guys, a pretty cool group. So anyways, thank you once again for listening. I was your host. I was Tyler.
I'm Troy.
And the legend lives on with Colonel Gables. So
46th President of the United States.
Oh God. Until next week, everyone. Have a fun night. Have a fun day. And for God's sakes, don't do anything stupid.
Don't drink and drive.
Don't go stealing motorcycles.
Don't go steal my Nintendo Switch. Anyway.
Oh God, please don't do that. All right. Signing off. Peace out.
Bye.
Bye.
Excuse me. You too many beers there. Anyways, we're on iTunes now, so go on there and check us out. And if you like us, leave us a review. And we'll even shout you out. And Jack will send you his credit card number.